What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Jody Smoke, the Mad Scientist here, and we have got a build for you today that is cut from a different cloth indeed. I am super excited about showing you this today. I'm calling this build the Toxic Eagle. It's an absolute warrior. It's great for PvP, it's great for PvE, it has crit, it has status, it has hazard, it has headshot, it has survivability. It is a true DPS hybrid build. We're going to quickly run through the stats and then I'm going to go through the build and I'm going to give you a little demonstration now of how good it is. We've got 50% status, 40% hazard, 2 skill tiers, 25% chance, we're getting 100% crit, 120% headshot damage, we're getting a constant 18% weapon damage bonus, and we're pairing off the headshot damage with the health damage to just multiply the health damage exponentially, and it's just fantastic. We're gonna give you a little demonstration here. This is without anything procced, and we're hitting 12 million there. That's without anything procced at all. We can then proc this, and this is great. As you can see, I missed a couple of shots, but you can hit that up for about 14 million, and you can get a little bit of more extra weapon damage out of this build here. And we're going to jump over here and I'm going to show you something a little special as well. Bear in mind, this is the 5 tier DPS build and the 2 skill tier build. I'm going to throw this out here now. Bear in mind, I'm using explosive delivery, so I'm getting an extra little bit of damage there. But look at that. Very hard lead enemies, it's absolutely shredding, and I'm not even doing any weapon damage, and I'm still getting that 18% damage boost. And as you can see, if I could hit my shots, it's still an absolute warrior and can tank people. So what we're going to do, we're going to get straight into this build, and I'm going to explain to you why it's a great PvP build and why you can also use it in PvP. An alternative for PvP that's not really out there much, but I think it's great, because the beauty about this build is, you're not limited to a chest talent. You can run whatever chest talent you want. This did roll with tamper proof, and I was playing with it a little bit. It's great in PvP because it shocks the enemies. PvE, because it shocks the enemies where you stinger hive and they can't move. I'm using explosive delivery because one thing I did notice, that skill builds rule in the Dark Zone at the minute and in PvP in general, and one thing that hazard protection does is it negates the effect duration of the effects that are applied by the skills. One thing it doesn't negate, however, is the initial damage that you do with the skills, so especially with these 2 skills. So that burn damage of 424,000 and the damage that you're doing from your stinger, which is 64,000 in PvP, that doesn't get negated by hazard protection, so you can't protect from that damage. And I'm unsure whether it applies multiplicatively to the health damage. It might not. I can't imagine it would, unless he's got no health, and then I believe, no armor, then I believe it might. But we'll have a little bit more testing, we'll find that out. You could use Mad Bomber on this build as well. That's another alternative to use, especially if you're using the flame grenades to apply the extra status effect. Probably pair that off with Pyromaniac, or maybe a SMG or a assault rifle, and put a Fenris piece on. It's funny because I tested a Fenris piece in here with the same stats as one of my gloves, I believe it was, and strangely enough the 3-piece Providence seemed to hit harder. I don't know whether it's because of the critical hit damage boost, but I mean the numbers, it was only about 2,000 per shot difference, 20,000 per shot difference, sorry, but I mean that can be quite significant, especially if you're running Vindictive and you're proccing the Coyote as well, which I will say benefits this build as well. I've tried to get a nice well-rounded DPS hybrid build here. You could also throw Obliterate on the chest piece, that's another thing I'll just throw out there. But that's why I'm running Vindictive. The critical chance at the minute is only at 25%, so with someone with a Coyote you can go up to 40, and then I can proc Vindictive and go pretty much up to 55. I don't like wasting chance, which is why I've kept it like that, and I normally would run this build with other people, as the Eagle Bearer requires you to be a good shot and hit headshots. We've got Perfectly Wicked. I would also definitely recommend Perfectly Wicked over Wicked, because the extra 7-second duration can make sure when you roll this much status, can ensure that your Imperial Dynasty holster continuously procs you perfectly wicked. It's a cooldown 35, and that's 20 seconds, giving you a, I'll do the math there, 8-second window, which you can easily proc another skill there. And it's perfectly wicked is always up, you're constantly getting that 18% damage bonus, which is pretty much pivotal to this build and pivotal to allowing this build to hit what you've just seen there, 12 million damage. And like I said, on top of that, the Imperial Dynasty All-Star is probably one of the best PvP talents that you can, exotics, sorry, that you can have right now. Is that burn effect just stops true patriots from stacking you, it stops pestilence from getting stacks on you, it stops them one-click people from being able to aim down the sight and shoot you. And especially if you're rolling this much status on, it lasts for so long, it allows you to put your Stinger Hive and get a good fire chem shot on them. And I mean, you've also got the Eagle Bearer, which is the tenacity buff, which is where your survivability comes in. It is hard to proc tenacity and Eagle Strike, and it's hard to know how to proc it and the effect that it has. But you do see, when tenacity is buffed, you do see the effect. You're negating 40 to 80% of the damage, which is massive in terms of numbers. You'll see it when you're getting shot. When tenacity is buff, you're losing it, and because you're getting that extra damage from the status effect and from the explosive, and you're applying all these effects, you're not allowing people to heal. You're getting the extra critical hit damage bonus if you can hit someone with Vindictive first. If someone's running Coyote, you're hitting more than enough damage to, and you're immobilizing them enough so you can apply them headshots and get that multiplicative damage that you're getting from the Jarl Hollow Man mask and the Eagle Bearer. And you can easily get 1 or 2 kills, especially rogues. I've wiped out teams with this build, and they didn't know what was going on. You know, they thought they were getting shot by multiple people, and they were saying on the mic there must be other people around shooting them, but it was just me. It's that toxic of a build. And like I said, you can't negate that initial damage. So if you hit them with the Stinger Hive, when you've already got that procced and you've got tenacity procced, and the explosive delivery kicks in and gives them more damage, they've lost nearly all the health, and they've got a bleed effect on them, and they're on fire, so they're trying to run away, and you switch to your fire chem. You've got to be pretty good with your fire chem to do it effectively. So you shoot, double tap, and then you can quickly switch over, and you can apply that flame effect on them as well, which is doing the damage over time. Won't be as effective for hazard protection people, but it'll still make them run. They won't stay in your proximity, your main. It's just an absolute toxic build, and you're gonna love it. I've put the boomstick on because I do like to switch for the boomstick from now and then for danger close people, and normally I've got my Stinger Hive proc, so I'm getting that extra damage with a sadist there. And I mean, that's how the build works. 3 Providence, we'll go through the pieces. So we've got the Jarl for the 10% hazard protection. I've rolled hazard on there with health damage and weapon damage. We've got the weapon damage with status and critical hit damage and headshot damage. Like I said, I like to add a bit of critical hit damage on, because although you get most of the damage from the health damage and the headshot damage, with Vindictive and Coyote it's always good to stack critical hit damage on top of it. So I've tried to get a nice blend, and I think 112% is more than sufficient, especially when the boosts proc and I get another 15 and another 15 or another 25. You're hitting 140, 150 hit critical hit damage, which is probably what a critical hit damage build is hitting with no buffs applied at all. And you're getting that skill tier 2 for the extra duration and damage on these. Chest piece, as I said, you can roll a different talent on if you want to. We've got a nicely rolled Dragon's Glare with the status and the hazard. This has got weapon damage, headshot and status. Weapon damage, headshot and status. And with this build you could run status effect instead of the hazard protection, but I do think 40% is a lot better than 30. I think 60% is ideal, but you don't really see any benefit from using 30. It is still quite a long time, but as soon as you start jumping from like above 30 to 60, you do start noticing hazard protection kicking in, which is why I'm using that. The other alternative you could use is Technician to get the extra skill tier, but because we're trying to focus on damage and I want this to be a mainly damage build, the stat is just proccing the perfectly wicked and stopping people from firing from you, and the skills just giving you that extra protection. Survivability is what you want for the extra 10% skill damage. Extra 10% damage that you do to status affected enemies. You should try this build out, test it for yourself. Your Spectre still hits as well. I can still hit with my Vector with nothing procced. reckon that's 5. You can hit about 8 million with a Vector nothing procced if you're hitting all in the heads, because obviously the headshots do more. And I mean, you've got everything in this build. Skilled players will struggle with you, DPS players will struggle with you, shotgun builds will struggle with you. Everyone will struggle with you, especially if you can apply your effects so quick. It's good for close range, it's good for far away ranges, because you got the headshot damage. You know, you can run, you can survive. It's honestly, it is a true warrior build, and when you try it out you will not be disappointed. So if you like it, please like and subscribe, and have a look at my other videos. I hope you like some of them, and that's it. Peace out, enjoy the vision.